Today I am going to be reviewing two new release movies for you in case you are thinking of going to see one of these this week. Welcome to my dual review of In the Heights and A Quiet Place 2. Welcome back, or if you are new here, welcome. My name is Katrina and I make bookish content here on this channel at least twice a week, and then movie reviews just like this one here at the weekend. They are always spoiler free, and I will leave a playlist of my movie reviews linked up above in case there is another recent release that you would like to see. Cinema's really ramping up again for me, and so whilst I used to just make standalone movie reviews when I wasn't going to the cinema, before that, when I was going to the cinema and using my AMC A-list, I would make multiple movie reviews in one video. So I thought I would kind of bring you this one because these are two big blockbuster new releases, and so I will leave the timestamp in the description box below in case you want to hear the second movie and not the first movie. So description box, go to that timestamp if you do not want to hear my thoughts on A Quiet Place 2 but want to skip through to In the Heights. So A Quiet Place 2, I saw it in IMAX. It was available in Dolby or IMAX, but I'd seen a trailer for it in IMAX, and so I was like, yeah, let's go do the IMAX version. I don't think it's one that necessarily has to be seen in IMAX. I think I should have probably made the decision to go and see it in Dolby instead. So if you still have that option where you're located to, you know, IMAX versus Dolby, I would say Dolby would probably be better. I don't think there was anything gained for it being on a big screen. Obviously, it's always nicer to see it on a bigger screen. The thing that people ask me a lot who know that I went to see it is it as good as the first one? No. A sequel's never really going to be as good as the first one, except maybe with, you know, Endgame, Infinity War, and obviously Empire Strikes Back. But yeah, it's definitely not as good as the first one. One of the things I really liked about this film is that it is a 94-minute film. You know, bring back the 94-minute films, because the next film that I'm going to talk about is so long. So if you are like, I'm pushed for time, I don't want to be spending, you know, 2.5 hours wearing a mask in the cinema, I just want that 90 minutes of film, then yeah, the length of this one was definitely something that was beneficial to it. I will say as well, with A Quiet Place, they tried to kind of like buck the trend of your horror movie films. They tried to kind of do things a little bit differently, and they've continued that trend with A Quiet Place 2, and I really did like that. This film has themes of kind of like women being powerful and sort of like being worse off when they kind of get help, like they're better off kind of knowing their own strength and using those powers themselves, and I really like that. I also like the fact that we had a lot of kind of, you know, Emily Blunt being quite powerful in the first film. Again, no spoilers here if you haven't seen that first film. And she kind of almost like passes the baton on to her kids a little bit in this film. I think she definitely underestimates them, but I like the fact that, again, they have this like power. Obviously, with the first film, we kind of like, we had that thing where you didn't see the villain, the bad guys, until later on into the film. Going into A Quiet Place 2, you know what the bad guys look like and you know what their kind of like strengths and weaknesses are, and so that takes away from it just a little bit. But I will say that even though you kind of know that, you still are kind of waiting for them to appear, waiting for something to happen. I would say that in terms of, you know, kind of against what I said about both of these films still kind of booking the trend and booking those cliches of horror films, I would say that there are definitely some moments that were put in here like just as jump scares, and compared to A Quiet Place 1, this one was a lot louder than A Quiet Place 1, and I appreciated the kind of like silences in A Quiet Place because you kind of held your breath with the characters. However, I still think that it's worthwhile, and it kind of links into what I said in my previous movie review, which will have been linked up above, about Cruella. Like, I really do feel like the blockbuster movies are back, and so I appreciated that this one was obviously made, it was due to come out right when theatres closed, and so it was made pre-COVID times, so it did have all that money and that freedom behind it, and so it definitely shows, and it's definitely on another level to a few of the things that I've been reviewing recently. Which brings me on to In the Heights, which I did see in Dolby, and this is one that they emailed me to say tickets are available to buy. I bought that ticket. I've had it sitting in my little app for about 3 weeks now, and so I was really excited to go and see this one. It is a really long film. I went to an 11:30 a.m. showing, and the screening finished at 2:17. So it took up, you know, all of any like lunch, brunch, afternoon tea plans you might have had. So if you're going to see this one in an evening, just beware, you need to add on at least 2 3/4 hours. And I will say this is not a spoiler, but there is a post-credit scene that is worth staying for, definitely worth staying for. So you are going to need that full just over 2 3/4 hours. So just putting that out there first of all. This is another one that was due to come out last summer. I was so excited about seeing this one last summer because I really loved seeing Anthony Ramos in A Star Is Born, and then in the like Disney Plus production of Hamilton. Like when he's in a film, when he's attached to a film, I really enjoy seeing him on screen. There's something very magnetic about him. And so I was really excited about seeing this one. Obviously, we know it's attached to Lin-Manuel Miranda. Again, harking back to Hamilton there. And so you know that the songs and the score is going to be top notch. I am not lucky enough to have seen this one on stage, but that's not because I've gone, oh no, I don't want to see that. This is definitely something I would see on stage, but I've just never had the opportunity. It's not come up as being something that I was able to actually go and see. So I can't comment on how it translates to the big screen. Was it worth seeing in Dolby? Yes, 100%. I am going to see it in a less enhanced format this weekend, and there is a small possibility they have very limited IMAX screenings that seem to change day by day in my cinema. I may go and see it in IMAX because I think that that would be a good time. So let me know in comments if you would like to hear a comparison of In the Heights, Dolby versus regular versus IMAX. Happy to make that, but if nobody wants to hear it, then I can leave that. This is definitely a musical for fans of musicals. It's not one of these where if you're not such a fan of a musical, you can get through because there's like bits that are just dialogue or bits where there's like lots of action happening. No, every dialogue, every action happens through song and dance, and I love that. I like when something is unapologetically a musical. I don't need to have dialogue in my musicals. I don't need to have like other action going on in my musicals. Everything can be in song form, and I just love that. I love the fact that it shows this like tiny part of Manhattan, but it is filled with so much like culture and history and so much kind of going on around it. It did make me feel slightly guilty about, you know, being kind of a bit miffed about my own limitations when it comes to my own immigration status, because, you know, I'm having some immigration issues, but, you know, I am white and therefore it doesn't kind of affect me in that same way. But there's, you know, they talk about things that you can do with and without a green card, things that are available specifically to dreamers and that aren't available to dreamers. And so that part like did really hit me hard and did make me cry, but also made me feel a little bit guilty. But I just thought all the performances in this were just stunning. There's moments that made me laugh. Quite a few people in my screening as well like clapped at the end of the musical numbers, and I was like, I love doing that. I think like the last time that kind of caught me by surprise was when I went to see Dreamgirls and people clapped at the end of musical numbers. You know, so be prepared for that if you're going to see it. There's not an awful lot I can say about it because it's based on an existing musical, and so I think that if you're kind of aware of the musical, you've seen the trailers. If you're like me, you saw the trailers for ages before it didn't come out last year, and then you've been watching trailers ever since you've been back to movies this year. Like, it's just something that's been trailered again and again and again and again. And I'm sure when I eventually go and see Peter Rabbit, there still might be a trailer for In the Heights with that one. I'm just excited to be back and finally getting to see things that I was looking forward to seeing last year. I really do feel like blockbusters are back. If I had to pick one for you to pay your money to go and see in the cinemas, because normally I'm like, would you see this? Should you pay your money to go and see this in cinemas or not? I'm going to say which one you should pay your money to go and see. I think In the Heights, unless you are not a fan of a musical. I think that if you are not a musical fan, then this one might not be for you. But for pure like production value, the one that I enjoyed the most, I mean, you know, you're getting 2 3/4 hours of it for the same money as a ticket to go and see your 90 minutes of A Quiet Place 2. Definitely, but I think both of these are absolutely films that benefit from being seen on the big screen. So if you are going to cinemas at the moment, highly recommend either of these. Let me know in comments if you would like that different screen size, sound quality comparison for In the Heights. I will happily make that as a little bonus extra content, because as I say, you can probably see that we're going to have a review of Peter Rabbit coming next week, but yeah, I have lots of movie reviews still lined up for me, but if there is a specific one you would like to hear my thoughts on, then let me know in comments as well. I will be back with more bookish content for you in the week, so make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification bell, and I will be back with more movie reviews for you next weekend, so I will see you then. Thanks for watching.